Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host and my guest is Warren Logan. Warren is a candidate for the Oakland City Council District 3. We have been having some very interesting discussions about city government and how it should run. So let's talk about, I believe you got about 6 priorities that you have set forth. Let's talk about some of those. Transparency and responsive government. What do you mean by that?
I think the government needs a scorecard. And I'm not the first person to tell anybody that, but I know how to do it. So if I asked you, is our city government successful? You and I should have a shared language about how we're going to assess that. Not just public safety, but also potholes. How many miles of roadway did we pave last year? You should know that number because it's easily accessible. You should know whether...
I can go to the website and find out?
You should have that access. You do not have that access.
I was going to say.
And that's my point.
I was going to run to the website.
Yeah, you're like, hold on, let me pull it up. And that's my point, Robert, is that I want to have a shared language with my constituents, not just the residents of District 3, but all of Oaklanders, so that they can hold me accountable to the things I've promised and really to the things that they've even taxed themselves for. So again, every single department should have clarity with local elected officials and with our city residents and employees what success looks like. And having managed a number of those departments as a policy director, I want to make sure that our employees know what they're building towards so that we're not just, as you've probably heard, pushing paper back and forth, but that you know what all of this adds up to. Because at the end of the day, the city of Oakland is also an employer. And being a good employer means setting measurable goals and making sure that everyone is accountable to the ideals that we're all striving for.
What about Safe Place to Live, which is one of the things that you have as part of your platform?
Yeah.
Safe Place to Live?
Absolutely.
Let me point out, it is not safe. I don't care what anybody says. It is not a safe place at the moment. Mm-hmm. It has been in the past, and it can be in the future, but at the moment, it's a crying shame.
It is. And I'll just add to my points about public safety from earlier and say that I think there's a debate right now in Oakland and probably in lots of cities about the difference between the crime statistics themselves and people's feelings about whether or not they feel safe. And I'm not here to tell people how they should or shouldn't feel, because at the end of the day, you are absolutely right. The statistics say for themselves that we have challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my additional point here is that I want to also, as a council member, instill confidence in the city, so that even when people say, oh, well, my car got broken into, the response isn't everybody's cars always get broken into in Oakland. I want that to go away, that right. Feeling, that perception of Oakland as well. And so in addition to the outlined issues that I talked about before, again, talking about bringing back businesses to the city so that people feel that they are in a vibrant space, that's another critical component.
We've lost a lot of business,
we have.
Especially black business.
We have
gone out of business because of issues of
public safety,
robbery, public safety, etc., break-ins, and then many people are afraid, for good reason, to go downtown because they're afraid somebody may break in the car, and as a consequence of that, then clearly our businesses suffer. So what are you going to do about that?
Well, for starters, I would meet with our businesses. In fact, I have already been meeting with our businesses both in downtown and in West Oakland. First, to share
what are they saying?
They're frustrated. They're really frustrated. And also, they're tired. You have to remember that while a lot of us have moved on from COVID, businesses haven't, right? PPP loans have dried up. The city's kind of turned its back on a number of the other business resiliency programs that I had actually created during COVID, namely the business support program called Flex Streets that allowed small businesses in downtown and throughout the city to open up their space onto the sidewalk and the parking spaces. All of that's gone now. And so a lot of them have shared with me that it feels like they're fighting for their lives. And I think that they need a champion.
Well, why couldn't they continue the sidewalk business?
Frankly, the city changed the program. And
why? Do you know?
I don't know why. And it's something that's very frustrating to me because it was an incredibly successful program.
It was.
It was free for the merchants to use. We
Right.
gave them templates, which meant that on my end, as a manager, right, staff didn't have to spend so much time negotiating back and forth about, you got to do it this way or that way. It was a very easy program to implement and to manage. All sides of the party were really happy with it. And I think that that's one of the fundamental issues for Oakland is that we have nice things here. We have successful programs. And for some reason, and I think for a lack of leadership, we often take our eye off the ball, and instead of focusing on real issues, we start focusing on tiny little bits and pieces that don't need fixing in the first place. And then at the end of the day, we end up with nothing again.
And it all boils down to a lack of leadership. Leadership is so critical to every single thing that we do. I have often said, show me your leader, and I can tell you all about your city.
Yeah.
Lousy leaders, lousy city. Don't touch that remote. We will be right back with All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Warren Logan, candidate, District 3, Oakland City Council.